Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now, this is hilariously funny. Now, what this is the Treasury's cross-party select committee meeting for the cost of living crisis, so to speak. You remember when our Chancellor Fishi Rishi was at the dispatch box talking his tripe about, no, this isn't a windfall tax, this is a energy profits levy and nonsense like that. Well, let's just the first question after our bodge had just ran out the door as quick as he could. I think Seb Coe would have struggled to have kept up with him. Was a Conservative MP and the chair of the Treasury Committee meeting was Mel Stride, who asked him whatever question it was about, and then asked him would he be willing to appear at one of these Treasury meetings. Now, whatever question he asked him, he went round and round the trees about all that, but he never answered whether he would. Now, I thought, he skirted that question. But anyway, fair play to the guy. He made room for this meeting, and let's just say he wished he hadn't, because let's be honest, for all the days to book one of these meetings was on the day that our bodge was given notice that the no confidence vote had been triggered. Yes, all the letters had gone in, and let's just say Angela Eagle couldn't resist, should I say, asking the all-important question: does our Bodge Jobson have the Chancellor's full backing? Now watch our Chancellor squirm. It's a joy to behold.
Thank you. Chancellor, if the off-gen price cap turns out to be higher than its initial estimate, will you provide further support, or is what you've announced it?
As I said, the answer I gave previously stands, that we're always responsive to the situation on the ground. That we have a pretty good sense of what it's going to be. It is in any case an average, so plus or minus a bit. It probably doesn't change the overall picture largely. And as I was saying before, it's not possible for the government to fully insulate people from increases in the cost of living and inflation. So it's not as if it's something that we can precisely try and eliminate. So it would be right to not have it wouldn't be right to have policy that is designed to do exactly that, because I think chasing a target like that could be dangerous. But we believe it's a significant intervention, and that, as I said, on the basis of what we know, makes a big difference. I guess the converse thing is if it's lower, I don't think
we come back for the money.
Yeah, we're not going to come back either if it's lower. So I think probably find that it's fine equally the same on both sides of it.
Right. Now, you were saying earlier to the chair of the committee that a third of the cost of this package so far is going to be covered by the windfall tax, leaving two-thirds of it, £10 billion, effectively taken from borrowing.
Yes, I mean, it will. The final split will be a function of what happens on the electricity generation.
And when are we likely to know about that?
As I said, we're in having those conversations urgently.
Yeah, but when are we likely to know? Is that
I can't say much.
Is that another mini statement, bit of a budget?
I said I can't, because it's a live tax policy, and there's not much more I can say other than what I said at the statement, where I explain the rationale, and we're now having those conversations with the industry to ascertain the scale of those extraordinary profits.
But a significant amount of the cost of this package is going to come from borrowing, isn't it?
I said it will depend on the scale.
We're at two-thirds at the moment.
Yes, and that's an upper bound.
Which is possibly why it went down so badly on parts of your own backbench.
That's not.
Craig McKinley called it tripe. Richard Drax rather oddly called it throwing red meat to socialists. I must say, I'd never thought you were one of us, Chancellor, but it wasn't universally popular on your own backbenchers, was it? So how can you say, when you've introduced a package like this, which is at the moment and likely to remain financed by borrowing rather than tax rises, how can you still claim you're fiscally conservative?
So, what I'm claiming is that the overall fiscal policy that we've got in place is a responsible one, partly because we've taken a series of actually decisions that have been unpopular, and that's fine, because I want to try and do the thing that I believe is right, and that's what I always try and do. And that those difficult decisions mean that we're on a trajectory to have borrowing reducing significantly from the peak that it reached over the next few years, including this year, and our debt falling sustainably again. I think that is the right approach. Having a strong medium-term framework provides credibility to the markets, which is important, and it allows us, because of those decisions, it allows us to have the space to respond to shocks and challenges as they arise, and that's what we've done.
The subsidies already going into North Sea oil in tax breaks for continue to explore there are very substantial, aren't they? 3.1 billion in 2019-20, 2.5 billion in 2020. You're really only raising in the windfall tax the subsidies you've already given to people to carry on operating in the North Sea, aren't you?
I don't look at it like that. We're raising what I think is a meaningful amount of revenue, £5 billion, but doing so in a way that is supportive of investment in the North Sea, with a new investment relief that doubles the amount of investment tax relief that exists in the system, meaning about for every £1 that people invest, just over 90 pence of it they can get back in tax relief. So we've designed it in a way that I think is balancing, raising revenue and taxing profits fairly, with a desire to continue to support investment, and I think it's been largely acknowledged as doing that.
Did you consider taking more than 5 billion?
As I said, this strikes, I think, the right balance between taxing the profits fairly, but also incentivising investment.
Same as it all then.
Now, your former colleague, the former Financial Secretary to the Treasury, Jesse Norman, has written a letter today calling on the Prime Minister to resign. Do you agree with him?
No, I'm not.
No?
No.
You worked with him for a couple of years. You must have some respect for him.
Of course, I worked with Jesse for a while since I had this job, and he did a very good job, and I'm grateful for the job he did for me.
In his letter, Jesse Norman says to the Prime Minister that to describe yourself as vindicated by the Sue Gray report is grotesque. Do you agree with his judgment on that?
As I say, I'm not entirely sure what this has to do with the statement, but I disagree with him, as I said, and I support the Prime Minister, but I thank Jesse for the job he did when he was a Minister in the Treasury. I
think political stability has quite a lot to do with how we perform economically, Chancellor. In his letter, he also says breach of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is what's being constantly threatened by this government, would be economically very damaging, politically foolhardy, and almost certainly illegal. Do you agree with him about that?
So that's not the intention. The intention is to have a dialogue with our partners, which we're continuing to do.
Oh yes, it is.
To make sure that we can try and reach a sensible settlement to some of the challenges that we're seeing.
About
Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom economically, where there are very clear challenges, and the protocol is proving to be a barrier to a resumption of a functioning executive in Northern Ireland. It's right that we try and take steps to address that.
Do you agree with the Prime Minister's anti-corruption champion, John Penrose, who resigned today because he judges that the Prime Minister has broken the ministerial code and ought to resign?
I disagree, yes.
Thank you very much.
I've got to say now, sorry for all the hysterical laughing, because there's nothing more I enjoy watching is a Tory squirm, and boy, didn't our Fishi Sunak squirm. Didn't he just? It was just hilarious. I just could not stop laughing. And if you think Angela Eagle was rather what's a word I'm after? Rather vicious. Boy, you ain't seen nothing yet. All I can say is at this cross-party select committee meeting, boy, did the girls have some fun. I'm telling you that for nothing now. Right, I shall leave the video here, and I do hope you enjoy it, and there are a few more, believe me. So until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.